Talk about the most business-friendly city in LA County. That would be the city of La Mirada. No bias here from the mayor of La Mirada, right? Creating a business-friendly local government is imperative for driving economic development. A business-friendly government is one that actively supports and assists with the growth of businesses by minimizing bureaucratic obstacles, providing transparency, and investing in local infrastructure and services. So basically what we do is we pave the road for businesses to come into La Mirada. And we hope a lot of businesses and restaurants come into La Mirada, which they'll stimulate job creation, attract investment, and boost economic activity, thereby increasing sales tax, which we then turn around and put back into the community. So it's kind of an economic revenue machine that we hope to generate with you guys as the Chamber of Commerce. You all have businesses or work for businesses in the city of La Mirada. And La Mirada has won the most business-friendly city award twice. It just so happens that Steve DeRuse was mayor both of those times. So something, everything he touches turns to gold. So we're going to call him Steve Midas instead of Steve DeRuse from this point forward. But we won the award in 2014 and 2019 for practices that we put into production and procedures here in the city of La Mirada. So how do we get there to be the most business-friendly city in La Mirada? Well, you all, who owns a business in La Mirada? Raise your hand. All right, we'll start with you. What brought you to La Mirada? What enticed you?
I lived here from 1956 to 2014, and you can't take La Mirada out of me. I moved to La Habra, and now I live in Puerto Rico the last 30 years. This is my base.
So this is your base. You love the city, and this is why you stayed here. Is there anybody from outside?
That's why I've been with the Grace Evangelical Free Church for 29 years.
All right. Is there anybody from outside the city that has started a business inside the city here? What enticed you to come into the city of La Mirada? Rich?
Well, I moved to La Mirada in '78. We moved our office to La Mirada, and different things happened. So now I moved my office to La Habra, but I service La Mirada.
La Mirada. Okay. Well, generally what we want to do is, again, we want to pave the road for businesses to come into the city of La Mirada here. And what we have to do is we have to create incentives, and we have to do certain things to make it palatable for the businesses to come into the city. We've had a lot of businesses come in. Allison can attest. We have I think every quarter, we release all the new businesses coming into the city of La Mirada. So you can see there's quite a list of new businesses that do come in here. But some of the things that we do here is, first of all, is public safety. Nobody wants to start a business without having public safety. You don't want to have a locked door in the front where people are going to come in and rob you. You have a lot of issues with retail theft at this point. You have some issues with homeless at this point. So public safety is one of the key foundations that we have here in La Mirada, because if you don't feel safe, you don't want to buy a house here, you don't want to start a business here, you don't want to walk the streets, you don't want to get out of your car, you don't want to leave your car unlocked in the parking lots. Things like that create an incentive for businesses to come into La Mirada. And Mary can attest to, she does a lot of our public safety meetings, that she gives some great tips on what to do and what not to do for different businesses. She has Business Watch, which she does quite a bit of here in the city of La Mirada. So we do have a lot of programs that we will go and we will teach our businesses on how to prevent loss, to incentivize people to come into your business. But so that's one thing that I think is what I call Maslow's hierarchy. The foundation for everything in this city, I think, is public safety. That is, and Dan would attest to that, I think you're the #1 public safety candidate, is one of your taglines, and I think that's a good tagline. So basically what you have here is the public safety foundation, and you have to build on it like a pyramid as to different things that you want to have to pave the road to allow businesses to come into La Mirada. So the next thing that we have, which I don't know many of you know this, but we have not raised our business license fees since 1985. The maximum you pay in La Mirada for business license is $1,000. If you go to some other cities around here, you will see that some of those business license fees can be in the multiple thousands of dollars. But we have capped it at this point at 1985 fees, and it hasn't been risen for decades here in La Mirada, which I think is another incentive that we do have that allows businesses to say, hey, I'm going to go to La Mirada because every year I have to pay a business fee, and I'm only going to pay X amount of dollars, and it's never going to be more than $1,000. So we do have quite a few businesses that come in, and they're appreciative of our business licensing fee. It's 1985, right, Allison? I think that's the last time we raised the fee. Also here, we have no utility tax. Now, some of those big businesses, there's a lot of cities that have a utility tax. So you have gas and electric, especially electric. Sometimes the city actually puts a utility tax onto your bill. So the more electricity you use, the higher your tax is. In fact, I think it's unincorporated Los Angeles County in the unincorporated areas is 4.5% is a utility tax. So you can pay your utility bill, and you can add another 4.5% on top of that, which you don't get here in La Mirada. So no utility tax is another issue that we have here in La Mirada, which makes us most business friendly. No parcel tax. Also, there's a parcel tax. Some cities have parcel tax, and in fact, I think anybody here from Santa Fe Springs? Good. So Santa Fe Springs has on the ballot today Measure SFS, which is a parcel tax on the businesses only. So if you're actually going to go into a business in Santa Fe Springs, if that passes, that parcel tax is going to be passed through to the tenant, who's going to pass it through on, to your prices, whatever you're selling in Santa Fe Springs. So La Mirada has no parcel tax, which I think a lot of the other cities around here do have a parcel tax. Another thing that we do is streamlining business licensing. So we have our business licenses online, and it's streamlined. You can either do it by mail or you can do it online. I know the online, I pay my business license fees every year, and I like to send it in by mail because it takes longer for them to cash a check. Allison's going to go tell Jeff that. No.
I'm gonna look for yours in the mail.
But it's streamlined as well, so you can actually get it done. A lot of the online things, a lot of people like to pay their bills. My son likes to razz me a lot because I still sit down and I write checks to the mortgage company, to the utility companies, and he goes, "Why don't you just pay them online?" I'm like, "Because it takes longer for them to cash a check." That's like a 1% interest in my bank account that I get to keep the money that much longer. So. We provide financial support and incentives also to some businesses. Some things we have done in the past, which I think we still have at this point. We have the LACDA Smart Funding Program, which businesses can access capital with low interest and customizable loan terms. That's on our website, so I wanted to make sure it was still there. That's correct, right?
It's through the county.
Through the county. But we have that, you can apply through the city to get the county funds. And a while back, a lot of our businesses during COVID, they had some issues with being closed for a while, and we wanted to make sure that our business didn't go out of business at the time. So we actually had, I think, $371,000 of ARPA funds that we allocated for business grants. And we gave 71 $10,000 grants to 37 businesses in the city of La Mirada. So we want to make sure that our businesses stay afloat and that we keep the doors open here. I know a lot of restaurants are issues here. People couldn't go to eat at restaurants. You couldn't go inside. You had to wear a mask. Kind of hard to eat when you're wearing a mask. I won't get into that. But I brought it up. Yeah. You're wearing a mask. Can you eat? No. Okay. My example. So basically here, we do have some issues in the city of La Mirada, which generally we fall to some trends. I think we have various commercial centers which have a lot of vacancies here, and some of the vacancies are due to things out of our control. One of the things I think that we see is going on here, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Allison, but we have a lot of trends to going to online sales instead of sales of merchandise inside brick and mortar type of stores. So cities have to adapt to what's going on with regard to trends going on in sales to be most business friendly and to adapt to our own businesses and make sure that they keep coming into La Mirada. So we have actually created some issues online that we actually, La Mirada Furniture Stores, I won't name the store, but we have a La Mirada Furniture Store that we actually have an online sales agreement with. If anybody in California buys a piece of furniture, then it goes as a sale to La Mirada, because a lot of people buy online. How many people here have bought something on Amazon.com? Probably 90% of you. eBay, you bought on eBay? So one of the issues is, now that you're buying more stuff online, a lot of our businesses are going to be closing. A lot of service businesses stay open, but a lot of sales businesses are going to be closing because of online trends with Amazon and eBay and Temu and a bunch of other online sales programs. I forgot the other, there's another big one, remind me. Yeah, well, when you go online, you basically go to Google and you type in what you want, and you'll get a list of 5 different places that sell it online, and they're all vying for your business. So you click on the cheapest price, and hopefully they have some good reviews, and you'll buy it from them. But that creates an issue. You are not now, for the city of La Mirada, you are not now buying something in the city of La Mirada. So the sales tax, which the city needs for public safety, community services, things like that, is now going somewhere else. It's going to the city wherever you're online and you're buying. They have a trend now in the state of California, which is basically destination sales tax issues, and where did I go? It's called destination. Sales tax destination versus source. So basically, if you're sitting at your computer and you're buying something in the city of La Mirada, but you're logged on to a business that's somewhere in Maryland or somewhere in Northern California, who gets the sales tax? The place where you have the source of where you're making the order, or the place where you're placing the order in Northern California or some other state? So there's been an online debate and a legislative debate going on as to where that sales tax is going. Because you have cities around here like the City of Commerce, they have nothing but businesses, and a lot of times people are buying online, but the sales tax is going out of the city, going to the source rather than destination, depending on where the product is going. So I think in California we're going to see probably some shift going on with regards to where that sales tax is going to be going. And this is why the city enters into these agreements like our furniture companies that, when they are physically located here in La Mirada, but we have discussions, people like Allison, we have smart people like Allison and Mary who go out there and cut these deals. And actually now we are getting a portion of the sales of people who buy from the state of California, but they're actually buying from the furniture online. But we get all the sales tax here in La Mirada as opposed to where they're buying it, source, again, source and destination. So these are the things that we have to be mindful of as a city to maintain our sales tax base so we can maintain our services here for you here in La Mirada. And we know that there's a lot of businesses last year that are not going to be the businesses of tomorrow. I know a lot of you have been here for a very long time in the city of La Mirada, but here's some names of some businesses that you probably recall, some you might not even know are gone. The Sizzler is no longer here. We used to meet there. There's a Mediterranean Diner, it's now the VCA, is gone. The Carriage is gone. Why? Lack of patronage. A lot of times they just didn't have enough business to keep them going. These are restaurants that are actually in business, so you have to spend your money there so they can actually pay their employees and get more food and pay the rent, and therefore keep the doors open. And a business doesn't close because they're making a lot of money, it's because they don't make any money. So the whole point of saying is where do you put your restaurant where you can make a whole lot of money? And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to pave the road with economic incentives here in La Mirada, that you can actually open up your doors and remain open here in La Mirada. How many remember the La Mirada Mall? You see that anymore? Anybody buying anything at the La Mirada Mall anymore? I don't think so.
I was here when it was built.
Yeah, exactly. It was built way back in 1960, I think. You ever hear of Orbox?
Yeah.
Anybody shop at Orbox anymore?
Place.
Anybody shop at Toys R Us anymore? Which is now UFC. Market Basket? JJ Newberry's.
Yeah.
Lucky's? Alpha Beta? The Golden Corral? Remember that? It's over where Shibuya is. Marie Callender's, Love's. And I don't think it was ever here, but it went out of business. One of my favorites is Tony Roma's. I mean, it's like I have to go to Lucille's now, but Tony Roma's used to be my favorite place to eat. Even recently, we had Rite Aid, 99-cent store across in La Habra, Applebee's. We've had all the Macy's, Red Lobster, Bed Bath & Beyond, Big Lots, which is just down the street here, has closed, Flame Jumper, Safeway, Fedco, and of course Valley View Farms, which disappeared, and that was the #1 place to buy your milk and eggs and everything. Of course, it was a fresh farm. We have a farmer's market now, right there on Valley View.
I remember my family getting milk from there.
Exactly.
John.
So basically, well, the last one that I have on the list here, which none of you remember, is McNally's Olive Oil. How many of you actually went over there and bought some olive oil? Nobody's that old. Okay. I think they closed down in like 1910 or something like that. But the point is, you see that we have a trend that businesses come and they go, and you have a trend of why they open and close. So the city has to stay relevant as to why they're opening and closing, and basically move along with them and create ordinances, create incentives and things like that that allow the businesses here in La Mirada to thrive. So that's one of the things that we do as a city council, with the help of Mary and Allison, with some great ideas. You know, even the Chamber of Commerce, you know, you guys can submit ideas to us, but generally we try to look for trends and try to keep the doors open and try to keep the incentives rolling here in La Mirada, so we can be the most business-friendly city here in the city, the county of LA. We actually were named as a finalist, and we get to go find out if we won. So Jeff and I, the city manager, are going to the Coliseum on Wednesday night to find out if we actually won that award for the 3rd time. Right now, we're named as a finalist with 5 other cities in the county of Los Angeles. So we'll find out on Wednesday night. If not, we get a free dinner while we show up. So, does anybody here know what restaurant has lasted the longest in La Mirada? Who's the longest serving open?
IHOP.
IHOP, very good, that's right. IHOP has been here since 1961. 1961, IHOP opened up, and they're still open up over there. What's the second oldest one, Mary? You know?
I have no idea. I saw that.
Gondolas. Gondolas Pizza.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of want to say, why have they been open for 2 or 3 decades? What do they do? What are they doing right? Keep prices down, have, of course, good food. You know, you go there, you get your pizza, you get your lasagna and your fettuccine. But they've been there for, 2, 3, 4 decades, and they're doing something right. So there's something we can learn from the businesses yourselves as to the longevity of a business, as to why it stays open, why did the doors stay open, and how did we help you do that? And we can continue on with those type of practices. So that's something that the city of La Mirada needs to do, is to collaborate with our businesses and make sure that we are assisting you guys in helping you guys keep the doors open. Of course, I'd like to say, raise your hand and tell me exactly what you want, but I might get, I might get the answer is like free money. But free money is definitely helpful, and we do that. There's always a play between a grant and a gift of public funds. When you actually look those up in the state California legislature, you cannot give money away. We get sales tax, and we can't turn around and hand it back to somebody as a gift and say, here you go. That's called a gift of public funds. That's illegal. But we can give a grant for a defined outcome of different purposes as long as it's a defined outcome for the purposes of the public. So we can then create a grant program for businesses, and that's what we did during COVID, just to make sure the doors are open, which is something that the public needs to have. They need to have places to eat. You know, businesses need to stay open, their doors need to stay open, they need to pay their light bills, their electricity bills. So COVID had some disparate impact on a lot of our businesses here, and we had to come up with a grant program to make sure the doors stayed open. So that was something that we actually implemented, and it worked well. But as you can see, the brick and mortar stores are trending to be gone because of the product sales are going online. So that's one of the things. And then now that everybody sees that the trend is going online, a lot of the cities and a lot of manufacturing is complaining that, oh, the source and destination of that tax. Who gets it? The person who's at the source, or the destination of where the product's going to be? So that's something that's going to be fought in the legislature, and hopefully we can be a part of that discussion and actually keep a lot of our sales tax here in La Mirada. So, you know, we have a Staples Fulfillment Center, which is one of those. We have the online furniture store, which you guys probably already figured out is Living Spaces. You know, so if you shop at Living Spaces, you can even buy it online, and the sales tax here, it goes to La Mirada. So La Mirada is working to meet the needs of the future through planning and adapting to the oncoming trends of everything that's coming down from the state and the trends that are going online. And the big issue here in La Mirada, which I think everybody sees from online, Facebook, Nextdoor, things like that, is restaurants. You type in the word restaurant on Nextdoor and you're going to get 27 comments instantly. Boom. We need this. We need that. This is, you know, so again, if I say raise your hand, what restaurant, other than this beautiful location you're already in, raise your hand and tell me, what restaurant would you want to see here in La Mirada? Just, Steve, what's your restaurant? Cracker Barrel. All right. Stan?
Say Chili's.
Chili's.
King Seafood.
King Seafood. Anybody else? Suggestions?
Like maybe like a wing stop or like a Buffalo Wild Wings, something easy, because when we work in this area, we go to like La Habra and go eat, so it's kind of sad.
Well, that's what I hear online. It's
Yeah.
like, why do restaurants pick locations that, you know, they have? Like this one right here, it's pretty obvious it's attached to a hotel, but this has changed names a few times. So it's actually, it used to be Red Robin. And then it went to the Sporting Times. Sporting News. Yeah, now it's 1260, which everyone knows is named after the city. 1260 is the incorporation date for the city of La Mirada, December of 1960. So that's that. If you didn't know, that's the name of this restaurant here. But I just heard from 4 different people, 4 different restaurant names. So how many of you actually think that the city council picks the restaurants that come into La Mirada? It's like there's an open space and we have this list and say, who's next on the list? Okay, Yoshinoya, you're going in. Okay, Chipotle, you're going in. Okay, you know, the city of La Mirada doesn't pick. We don't sit around and pick a restaurant that's coming in, because I think 50 to 60% of the people online, when I announce that there's a new restaurant, they'll say, oh, you guys messed up, you should have put in this or that or something else, or, you know, the Kings or the Cracker Barrels or something like that. That is something that needs to be done, yes. And if I had to pick myself, there would be a Lucille's on every corner, okay? But not everybody wants a Lucille's on every corner. You know, some people are vegetarian, some people like Soup Plantation, which is, again, another business that went out of business. So how do we pick restaurants to come in? Well, generally, again, we just pave the road with economic incentives. We make sure the infrastructure is set. You know, we got nice paved roads, we got nice sidewalks to walk on so you can walk up to the business. We have public safety to make sure that you're safe to get from your car to inside. We set up all of the incentives to get inside that business. So people will come and say, oh my gosh, it's better to go to La Mirada to open a business than it is to go to Santa Fe Springs or to Norwalk or somewhere else. So that's our job, is to pave the road for the restaurants to come in, the businesses to come in, and people to seek financial incentive here in La Mirada. Even if it's not monetary, you're having different services and different infrastructure and things like that are assisting you better than they do in other cities. So that's what we do. We stay the most business friendly city by doing these types of things to help out the businesses of the 2 minutes. Okay, almost done. So again, the trends are coming. How many have been to Blockbuster lately and got a video? No. How many have Netflix? Almost any for everyone. So you see there's trends going on that you have to stay up. We have ordinances that we pass, and I'm being cut down. I got 2 minutes left. Get the hook, get the hook. So generally it boils down to restaurants. What does the owner want? The owner is the owner of the commercial property, so he gets to pick. We have Allison who goes to conferences and we write letters and we call people with different businesses, different restaurants that come in here. But the final pick comes down to the owner of the restaurant on the pad that it sits. The commercial owner is going to decide what's best for him. So generally, of course, we'd like to see the King's Fish Houses and the Lucille's and the Cracker Barrels come in, but generally we don't get the final pick. So that's what happens here in La Mirada, is the restaurants actually are picked by the people who own the business. Why doesn't the city do that kind of thing? Well, we lost redevelopment. We used to have redevelopment years ago. I think 2012 is when we lost it. And we had $58 million that was at the state that they actually came in and took away from us, and they stopped redevelopment. So we don't have the ability anymore to buy things and then redevelop them for restaurant pads and things like that. Coming up here, we have open land coming up off the 5 freeway. And generally, without getting into one more minute, without getting into too much, the restaurants will look at where exactly do they want to put a business. They want to say, I want to make money. If you go to, there's a couple different things that I pulled off the internet here. If you want to start a California pizza kitchen, you have to have $5 million total net worth, $2 million of cash available, and commit to opening 3 to 5 restaurants in 5 years. So just to open one CPK, you have to have all that just to apply for their program. So they're going to say, where do I want to put that to make it successful? Here, we got a freeway that has 171,000 vehicle trips that go by it every day. So when you have pedestrian, you have vehicle trips, they're going to say the restaurant locations are going to be, Imperial, La Mirada Boulevard, Telegraph. Those, I think those trips over there are 38,500. Between 36 and 38,500. So you look at the different corners and they have the different trips of the vehicles, and they're going to say, I'm going to put it where more people are going to see it. The best place would be right here. I mean, Chick-fil-A's got a great spot right there. 171,000 people are driving past it every day. So anyway, I've got 30 seconds left. I'm getting the hook is coming out from Tammy. I was going to get into the difference between campaigning and governing on that, but that's something we can talk about separately. When you actually become a city council member, you want to do all these things and bring in all these restaurants, but you decide you're going to find out, you're going to hit a wall of reality, and you're going to say, hey, there's state, federal, and local laws that you can't pass. Things like the Surplus Land Act that you have to deal with, that you can't actually buy the land and do that anymore, and all these other things. But again, La Mirada is the most business-friendly city in the county of Los Angeles, whether we win or not. And I am biased. I am the mayor of La Mirada, so I'm going to hold to that position. And I want to thank you, and thank you for listening. If you have any more questions, I'll stick around afterward.
I know it's time to go, but I wanted to add on to something that John said, because I think it's important when people in the community maybe, like you're said, oh, I'm at the chamber and I want to see this. I just wanted to quickly say that we did meet with Cracker Barrel, really wanted to go where Chick-fil-A is. And that property owner had a better deal with Chick-fil-A. They were going to pay more. So that's one example of how, yeah, we met with them, they wanted to come, but the property owner couldn't make the deal. And similar with Buffalo Wild Wings, they wanted to go in the theater center, but a little bit different issue was the franchisee in Brea that has Buffalo Wild Wings wouldn't approve having another one so close to theirs because they figured it would pull from their business. So there's two things where they had interest and we met with them. And there's, you know, could be other ones, but I just wanted to, if your neighbor says to you, well, why don't they get a Cracker Barrel? It's not really up to us, it's, you know, whatever it's zoned for and then the property owners.
Yeah. And we're creating, right now, after those pads are done, we have a freeway commercial area. We're updating the general plan where we have industrial, we have freeway commercial, we have commercial areas and residential. So we update the general plan where different businesses can actually locate and open up. So we're trying to make it more palatable to different businesses, especially along here, to make it only commercial freeway, that you can actually have businesses that are open to the public rather than industrial where they just manufacture goods. So trying to make that distinction over here where we're gonna have hopefully a lot of new businesses come as soon as those Caltrans properties open up. So,
I just want to say that you handle those people very well online. When you answer the questions, you're very diligent and
I tried to keep it to I try to be a trial lawyer and just bring out the evidence.
Because some people, the things that they
90%
say,
of that's
oh my-
opinion. You know,
Yeah.
I want this, or you should have gotten that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
but
What's wrong
here's the
with you?
facts.
Well, I want to thank the mayor for coming and for Councilman DeRusse for coming. I appreciate it very much. And if you want to hear more about what the city is and find out if we want or not, come to the State of the City, which will be January 30th. And we'll be sending out invitations. We're looking for sponsors. And we are very happy to work with the city on this. And we really appreciate the support that we get. So thank you very much.